The World Bank has pumped $14.8 billion into fossil fuel projects globally in the period following the landmark Paris Climate Accord, a report said Thursday.
Here's a summary of the article.
Washington, the World Bank has pumped $14.8 billion into fossil fuel projects globally in the period following the landmark Paris Climate Accord, a report said Thursday. It comes amid growing pressure on U.S. President Joe Biden to fire World Bank chief David Malpass, a Trump appointee who has dodged questions about the reality of human-driven climate change. Each time the World Bank invests in another fossil fuel project, it fuels more climate disaster, said Sophie Richmond of the Big Shift campaign. The biggest project listed in the report, called Investing in Climate Disaster, World Bank Finance for Fossil Fuels, was the Trans-Anatolian Pipeline in Azerbaijan, funded in 2018 to the tune of $1.1 billion. The World Bank Group's own assessment stated the project was expected to have potentially significant adverse social and environmental impacts that are diverse, irreversible, or unprecedented. In a statement to AFP, the World Bank said, "We dispute the findings of the report, it makes inaccurate assumptions about the World Bank Group's lending." In fiscal year 2022, the bank group delivered a record $31.7 billion for climate-related investments, to help communities around the world respond to the climate crisis, and build a safer and cleaner future.
This post received a score of 4,500, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
How much have they pumped into green? I'd like to see some good news on that front.
Greater than between 2016 and 2021, the World Bank Group delivered over $109 billion in climate finance, including a record $26 billion in FY21. Source.
Yup, and what's also relevant is that World Bank is usually for developing countries, many of which can't immediately just switch over to renewables. The World Bank Group has its issues, but I really don't think amount of money spent on X is a good metric, especially if you ignore things like this. Also would be nice to have something to compare, is it a lot or little compared to previous years? If before it was 8 billion and now 14 it's a bad direction, if it was 30 and now 14 then a different story. Context is important.
For context. Source.
There's context to this that the title is missing.
Most people understand that fossil fuels are causing huge environmental problems. Most people are also probably not opposed to helping developing countries and trying to tackle world hunger. What people don't realize is that the global agricultural system is deeply dependent on fuel and that increasing fuel costs affects the global poor the worst. Energy is complicated, unfortunately. Most politicians would choose long-term devastation over hundreds of millions starving today.
Not a lot of people vote for food scarcity. ?
Everyone supports world peace and green energy until they miss their meals for a day.
Well, yeah, you can't just not use fuels, so it makes sense to invest them using those coal plants as examples. The country is growing quickly, so the need for power will be going up too, and chances are they don't have the money available to run anything more expensive. Also, couldn't fossil fuel projects also include projects aiming to make fossil fuels safer or more efficient?
That doesn't seem that much.
Right? All things considered, $14.8 billion isn't a crazy amount. Fossil fuels will still be needed in order to transition.
It's almost like the entire global economy is still completely reliant on fossil fuel to function or something, regardless of pledges made in some non-binding fields over Rial's document. World Bank works on the developing world and they don't have the luxury of renewable energies. They need food and water and basic heat.
Smoke and mirrors.
That's not a crazy amount of money. Unfortunately, we still need fossil fuels too. We can't just avoid them and not invest into them.
Yeah, cause if we don't, everything will collapse. Just make sure you're matching with renewables and nuclear.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.